Live. Hey, everybody. This is Dr. Kevin McGovern from Perfect Motion Sports Therapy, and today is Thursday. So, what does that mean? Well, it's the Prove It Live podcast. And today's podcast is a little takeoff of last week when we're talking about the Major League Baseball medical model. So, this episode is titled, Hey, I'm not in the MLB. Where do I go for sound medical advice? So, without further ado, and back into the room is my co-host Mike Ferry.
You
So
couldn't
Mike,
wait him. You couldn't wait a minute.
I already pressed the button.
It was a minute.
Yeah, but then it screws the recording. It goes like we had that happen one time.
Right.
Once you hit Facebook, it's like airplane time. We got to go.
We got to have a warning.
Kevin is very impulsive.
I pressed. You said go. It was too late.
You should have seen the way he acted on the 9th hole yesterday.
Here we go.
The button.
3 guys I can't look for my golf ball, but I'm driving in the woods like in an all-terrain vehicle looking for others' balls. Oh, I think of one of but they can't look for mine.
All right, I'm sorry. How do we get to amateur?
Just aside, just chatter, just noise. We can mute that noise, but go on, Mike.
Give me a little prep next time when you're gonna hit the button. All right. Hey, everybody, I'm Mike Ferry here from the Farm Baseball Performance Institute. Welcome to the Prove It Live podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Kevin McGovern of Perfect Motion Sports Therapy, and the producer extraordinaire, Ryan Gagney. No puns today. Not being a smart aleck. Just straight introductions. So we have a great show today. I know Kevin, out of order, started explaining what we're talking about. That's supposed to be my thing, but whatever.
You were in the room. You were gone. I had to like jump with the parachute.
You had to ad lib. All right.
Ad lib. Yeah.
Well done.
Sorry.
All right. So let's get right into it. Top of the order. We got a couple things we want to talk about. Let's talk about first, or I'll talk about because the second one I think is more of exciting. I want to bring this up because we're always talking about injuries. Mike Trout, who's been out with a right calf strain. Okay, now when they say strain, Kevin, what does that mean? And the reason I asked is because he's been out since they said he hasn't done anything but walk or more than walk since I don't know, May 18th or something like that, or whenever the injury happened, May 17th, I think it was. So what does that mean when it's a strain?
A grade 2 right calf strain.
Yeah, so if we go over the grades like A, B, C, D. So grade 1 is just kind of like a little minor pull. Grade 2, we've got some tearing of fibers. And that means that if we looked at Mike Trout's calf, we'd see some bruising and blood. And grade 3 is, pretty much, in 2 pieces or really, almost in 2 pieces. The calf is funny. I mean, he probably heard a pop, probably felt, I didn't see the injury, but he probably, went down like he got shot. And sometimes that happens with a calf,
With a strain?
Boom. Well, I think again hung up on the word strain.
Well, I am because I don't know what the difference is between a strain and a sprain. First of all,
well, I mean, technically, a strain is a muscle. You can't really sprain a muscle. That's a ligament. It's really semantics. Right. You have to look at the severity of it, and if he is in a boot cast, kind of just walking or non-weight bearing, it's a pretty significant injury, and it will take a pretty significant amount of time to heal. There's a lot of, I think Kevin Durant, if it has had something like that, you're out for a while. And I think
Kevin Durant jumps up and down though a lot. How do you
again? We're going back to. I agree. Yeah, I didn't see. How did he do it? What happened? I didn't even see.
I believe it was just while he was running, and I think it was. Trying to see if I think I had the plate pulled. I don't anymore, so I lost.
Well, again, we go back, Mike, to what you had said about, which I thought was really intuitive about, baseball. It's like off and full speed. You know what I mean? And
stop the sprint,
the start, and your body is, it's kind of like a car. It doesn't like to go, stop at the red light, floor it at the green light. It's bad things are eventually gonna happen with stuff like that. And usually. I would probably, without seeing this, like I said, it's probably for the calf there. It might have been an acceleration injury, meaning he went to move and boom to take off. Whereas most injuries are usually on the deceleration, not most often. So It could be a while. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it's a really long while.
Yeah. So I just pulled the screen back up. So yeah, it was like on a pop-up. He was running to third.
Okay.
Like
running 2/3 from first or from second or from like.
Didn't see it. I'm reading the thing,
yeah.
so I knew it was on the bases, and that's the other thing too. Out of the box, home to first. You see hamstrings pull things in. I just thought it was like an odd type of injury.
So how does that release in Pujols look now? Right now, you got 2 right-handed bats out of the lineup.
I know. Well, and
right?
I mean, they've been like publicly shamed for letting.
I just saw
the
Pujols,
way that they done so unceremonious.
Pujols hit a huge home run the other day. I saw that, but I haven't really been following. Well, I know he hit it. Yeah,
good for him. Love that guy. All right, so second topic here on the top. There some good news. So I didn't get to watch as much as I would have liked this year because I know I talk a lot about the softball College World Series. A huge fan of it. The games are great. They're so competitive. The game is fast. It's a lot faster than a baseball game. Anyone that's watched it, no lead is ever safe, except for this one night it was. And Ryan, we had Montana Fouts, right, for Alabama. Throw a perfect game. Do we know how many pitches she threw? What was her line?
I had the pitch that I know she struck out 14. Which was her 9th start of the year with 11 Ks or more. Alabama has won the last 17 games in which she started. I did have the stat line somewhere, and it has escaped me here.
I know she had no hits and no walks.
She did have no hits and no walks. So she also
no errors.
No errors.
No base runners, if you will. So 21 up, 21 down, all on her 21st birthday.
That's right. Yes, it was her 21st birthday.
Yeah. There's only been one no-hitter thrown on a pitcher's birthday in Major League Baseball history, and that was way back in 1912.
Way back.
When George Mullen did it on his 32nd birthday.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Georgie Mullen.
I remember that. Yeah, he was on that day, yeah.
Yeah, he looked good. He didn't have any warm-ups, but, once got time to hit the mound.
Yeah, he was good.
And then, so this was the 5th perfect game in the Women's College World Series history. And it was the first one since Courtney Blades Rogers did it 21 years ago on May 25th, which was a little over a week before Montana Fouts was even born. Yeah.
I saw her dad, he didn't even know what to do. He was going nuts in the stands.
Yeah.
Which, being a father of 2 girls, it was like incredible. She took it like, oh yeah, all right. Because she was still panning in the dugout, and she was just sitting there talking to it was like nothing really kind of phased her. Yeah, it was kind of crazy.
Yep. And then, for her, unfortunately, just 3 days later, she pitched again and gave up 7 runs in 3 innings. And her team.
Give her a break.
I know. I know. Struck out 5, walked 3.
But that's baseball and softball. Hero one day and 0 the next, which is crazy.
Yep.
Wow, that's unfortunate. But
14 strikeout. It's not.
Now is the ladies? Is it over? Is it? I know that James Madison made a run. Do we have a winner yet, or is there still games going on? I know it was raining. There's a bunch of cancellations.
There are still games going on. Oklahoma is playing Florida State for the championship.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, those ladies of Oklahoma hit
and I believe that's tonight.
They've got tons. Seems like there's 3 girls in the lineup of over 20 home runs.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, since it's been a topic of ours, which sort of pitching style she.
I was looking at that. I think hers was the. What's the hello elbow? The one where you just bend your elbow up, right? Is that
right? Oh, that's loud. I shouldn't do that. I shouldn't have the volume.
And you yell at me about pressing the button.
Still amateurs here. So
I've been trying to look at that. So was let's review. The hello elbow is where we just bend the elbow. What was the other one, Mike?
The other one is the forearm fire. I think she's more of a forearm fire. Ryan, see if you can pull up a video of Montana Fouts. You just put.
I got a couple here.
Yeah, let's pull one up. Just out of curiosity. Now, I feel like the trend is that way, right? The trend is the forearm fire because, you don't want to be an old fuddy-duddy pitching like, Jenny Finch, God forbid.
I think I saw, if I remember correctly, there was some mid to upper 70s readings, like 76 or something like that I saw her throw.
I think she maxed out at 75, maybe 76, but she's routinely in the 70 to 75 mile an hour range, which is absolute
fumes.
Smooth.
Yeah,
I think that's faster than I threw overhand.
It's well faster than you throw.
Yeah. Whoa, that's so not true. I was a control pitcher.
That's not the best video, apparently.
No, but you can tell right in that.
Right there, you can see because it's
fire. Yeah,
it's almost like she's chucking rocks. Right, that's what it kind of looks like to me. Yeah, there she is. Skipping rocks.
Now she's not a small girl, right? She looks kind of tall.
She's tall. She's got a strong arm. I mean, she's great back, legs, hamstrings. She looks, definitely ground force for sure.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, she definitely generates a lot of ground force. I mean, that's not her.
That's not her. Well,
I guess I get confused then with this.
Like maybe a changeup coming there.
Yeah. I just think it's incredible how they literally throw. I mean, do all kinds. The ball is all over the place, man. It's crazy.
Well, the thing too is, it's hard. We know as baseball guys, it's hard to get break out of that short distance, right?
Right.
Like throwing BP to
Yeah, but these girls I mean, it's like diving all over the place. Now, I think the one thing I know that you did hate, Mike, and it's since when you mentioned things now,
didn't let me finish my thought.
Oh, sorry, I thought you actually cut out. I couldn't hear you, but go on. Sorry.
No, that's it. That was it. We kind of got past it.
I know you liked. I think Florida does the bunt. I think like every hitter gets in there and shows the bunt before.
I hate that.
I know. At least like the game
worst.
I saw.
What are you doing? Like, what does it do? What are you doing? Like you're gonna go like the pitcher go like, oh my god, what is that? And just like throw it off the backstop. Yeah. It's the silliest thing ever. I don't understand why they do it. It's really. If anything, you're just given an additional target, smaller target for the pitcher. So that drives me bananas. And I just don't like the bunting game in general, especially in softball. I mean, you see it like the 12U level because it's so important to get that 12U dub, right? So, hey, let's lay 9-10 bunts down because shockingly 12-year-old girls aren't so proficient at fielding bunts. Even if it's something you practice, they don't have the leg speed to get there and the arm strength to get there in time. So it's like, it's really just, it's almost like something that almost should be illegal, right? In fact, I don't know why they haven't done that at like, say the 12U level, say, hey, look, no more than one per inning. I don't know. I don't know what the
you could almost, like men's competitive slow pitch softball when you can't hit more, you're not allowed to hit more than like 8 home runs in a game, right? You have to be strategic about when you're going to do it. There's rules around that. So,
right. Some levels you can't hit any.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
They're all outs.
You see guys will accidentally hit one out when, it's a solo home run and the team gets mad at them because they wasted a shot to put one out with, 2 or 3 guys on.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't want to. This wasn't on on the plan today, so I don't want to get too far into it. But it's sad that you have programs out there that won't allow their girls to develop, and instead they've got everybody laying bunts down just so they can win a game at 12U. It's pathetic, but you see it all the time. Okay. So Kevin, I think you should probably.
Michael.
We want to get into our main topic, and I think
Ryan
sort of start this because we had a little bit of an. What are we doing right now?
Just going around the horn.
Just saying,
you said to me,
I felt left out.
Yeah, so.
Oh, all right. You can kick it off, Ryan, if you want to.
No, I don't want to. I was trying to make it about me. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think you can because I don't think you know what Kevin's going to say.
I have no idea.
There you go.
I'll be honest with you. Look, I'm going to admit something that I didn't tell you guys last night.
Oh, we already know.
We did our planning meeting last night, and there was a portion of about 5 minutes where I fell asleep on the phone.
Oh, we know. We know.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm not surprised, but yeah.
We knew. And then you try to blame it on your phone, like, oh,
right, yeah.
In all fairness, I wasn't lying about my phone. Those issues have been happening. But
I tried to open some apps, and they got there like it's like a clothing on their own.
100% fell asleep.
Yeah. No, we know. We knew that, or you walked away. One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. Right. So. Yes,
you're ornery too. Ornery, maybe because of the
very.
Bruins lost, but you're
very. Mike, taking
we're not even mentioning that whole debacle. We left that off at the top of the order for a reason.
All right, poor Tuca. Well, yeah, Mike, taking from last week, we talked about what we think is an inverted medical model.
Yes. Before you do that, I know I told you to go ahead.
Yeah. Where am I? Why don't you just tell me what to do?
Well, because we were talking about softball, and Jason did chime in. He said 3 p.m. is the championship. That is
3 p.m.
Oh, 3 p.m. Okay, I did say that. Yeah. Okay.
All right, now take it away.
Yeah. So the purpose of this podcast.
Oh, wait.
We're back again.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I guess the purpose of this show is really to bring people information, and then maybe kind of chime in with our opinion or so. So, we did bring up the fact that maybe the medical model, well, it's certainly inverted, but that doesn't mean that the medical model outside the four walls of a stadium is great too. So, the title of the show is, hey, I'm not a major leaguer. Where do I get health information from? And, we know that doctors are, people when they think injury, they go, they think doctor right away, and that's fine. That's kind of how the model has been portrayed out, and doctors kind of are the gatekeepers. But a happenstance, I was, kind of saying, well, where do people get information? Because we know that there's so many people getting information from places that they really shouldn't, like Facebook and social media and all this kind of stuff. But I think sometimes they do that because someone responds back to them, right? And there's some sort of dialogue. So I just kind of went looking around, and I went to our Massachusetts, the Massachusetts
MIAA.
Yeah, and I looked at their sports medicine site, and they had links to companies that were not in Massachusetts. So, why is that? Is that because no one wanted to participate? We've got a children's hospital in Boston that's like world renowned. So, I want to kind of spend, today talking about where people would go for. I mean, obviously, when someone hurts themselves, we know we're calling doctor, but by that time it's too late. You know what I mean? Like, where people go when, little Johnny wakes up in the morning and has, shoulder soreness after he threw. What's bad? That's kind of what I wanted to tackle today. So I'm going to give it back to you, Mike. And what do you see where people go? Do you get questions? What happens when you're the coach. You might be the first line of defense. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'd rather speak generally first. Look, we're fortunate. We have the luxury of having physical therapy right at our hands, right at our fingertips, and I'll get into that. Typically, and this is where I see the problem lies, is that it's always, you're right, a kid gets injured, player gets injured, baseball or softball player gets injured, and they go to the hospital, they go to the doctor or whatever. But there's always, not always, most of the time, outside of the catastrophic ones, right? You pop a UCL, pop a hamstring, whatever. But typically there's warnings or symptoms leading up to that. There's a sore arm or a tired arm or dead arm, however you want to say it. And I'm using the arm, obviously the shoulder, elbow as an example because it's the most prevalent. And I think you would get lots of questions. Sometimes they'll ask the coach, hey, my son's arm has been bothering kind of right in this area. Now, is that good pain or is that, the good pain, bad pain thing, right? Of course. And of course, there's no such thing. But I think those are also just the people who speak up. One of the big things out there right now, and some of the people who watch this podcast will probably attest to, is that there are these boards. There's Facebook pages and Facebook groups. There's same with Twitter, Instagram even, where, and it's most popular on like a Facebook. It's a Facebook group, and it's all like baseball moms or softball moms. And my wife is actually, she's on a couple of these things, and that's where you get a lot of these questions. Like, hey, my son's, his arm's been bothering for a couple of weeks now, and what do you suggest I do? And it's really kind of bizarre in a way that you would feel like take it to. Now I get that other parents also probably had experience, maybe they had a player who had a similar situation and could guide you, but at the end of the day you need to see somebody who can give you a factual answer, like an actual, hey, this is what's going on and this is what you need to do. And we talk about it all the time. No one seems to consider like a physical therapist to go to as a triage. And that's really what it comes down to. There's no real triage, and luckily, Kev, like I said, we're fortunate. We have the ability. Yep. So if one of our players is experiencing anything, we get them seen right away, and, they can figure out whether, it's going to be, just rest for 2 weeks or maybe, hey, look, this is a one-off thing. But before I turn it back over to you, and this is the thing that I would ask you about, is when you first get, let's say you have a pitching, an arm injury, right? A pitcher. Mm-hmm. Assuming that it's not something where he or she can't throw, would you not look at the arm mechanics as one of the first things that you look at? That's what we would do, right? And whenever we get somebody in general, that's one of the first things we want to do is look at their arm mechanics and how well they use the body, etc. Is that something you do as a physical therapist, or would you leave that to like guys like us?
No, absolutely. I would look. I look at first and foremost, if someone, let's say your typical 11-year-old little league elbow comes in, we look at the mechanics of the joint. Is the elbow, shoulder, hand, wrist moving kinesiologically correct like they're supposed to? Do we have any issue, blockages, limitations there? And then now we look at, well, how does that joint now work in function in sport, whatever sport they're doing? And 99% of the time, it's going to be a mechanical issue, or mechanics is going to have some component, to the injury for sure, and then it's just that, there's in an information world, right, where information is literally, we could, as we're on the podcast, I'm sure we've got 10 window screens opened up like this. There still doesn't seem to be enough information for people to make a decision or credible that they're going to Facebook or they're going here or wherever. They're not getting information, and I don't necessarily know.
I disagree with that a little bit. I think there's a boatload of information. I just think that it's mostly wrong, just like everything else.
Yeah, that's kind of what. Yeah, like there's tons. It's just there's so much. Like what's what? How do you decipher what's good and what's bad for the average person?
That's what's confusing, I think, to most people, is that they don't know where to turn. So they if they have these groups, I think what they're looking for is hey, has anybody been in this situation? What did you do? I don't think they're looking for another parent to fix their kid. I think they're saying because they don't know where to turn. They're
looking for validation of what they found.
Or validation. And I think they're also looking for guidance, because it's not a known thing. Like if your player is experiencing pain in the arm, go here. Right. And as you mentioned, if you go to like the MIAA website, as an example, there's really nothing on there for health outside of some, I think there was some place with like an Ohio zip code or something along the lines. Right. And so even there's no guidance. Now, I think what's important, to understand is like how they get there to begin with. And we've talked about it a little bit. We touched on it before about how MLB sets the trends. Division I college baseball sets the trends, and programs, and I think even parents by extension, look at them as the model. And, obviously the injuries are skyrocketing. Talking about the cookie cutter type of, pitch this day, don't touch a ball, throw a long toss, or don't throw a long toss, right? There's two real schools of thought there as well. And I think that that's a big part of it. So it's confusing. Is my kid even doing the right thing? Is my player doing the right thing? And that's another one. I could imagine if I were not involved in this was not something that I did, and I went on the internet, for instance, to try to find what's the right thing to do for my son to pitch, to take care of his arm, or even for my daughter, how to pitch softball, right? There's two schools of thought there. And I'm sure there's variances inside those two schools. You'd get so confused. And I think that, injuries in health is just another element, where everyone has an opinion, right? You'd be real lucky if you got one. I think that's the correct one. That's just my experience and, what I see that's out there. So hopefully, this is what we want to be. We want to be the place that can give you the information. And of course, we'll say it at the end of the show, but whenever, if anyone has any questions regarding their player, of course, please let us know. But that's really what it comes down to for me, Kevin. Is just I see the same thing. It's just this, not that there's no answers out there. There's too many answers, and how do you know which one's the right one? It's tough.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I have found is when the person has the right one. So let's just say Mr. Smith has gone into a neighborhood physical therapist, and it's how long does Mr. Smith listen to that information before then Mr. Smith makes decisions about little Johnny, because little Johnny's out of pain, or little Johnny's got the Big 12U game the next day, and then they go out and put that information aside, and then end up doing what they want. I mean, case in point, I've had people who have literally 2 weeks out from an MRI, like back at okay, he's out of pain, he can throw now. Like, no, like you're just in a tube. So the doctor thought that your injury was serious enough that we had to get a picture deep inside the joint to figure out what's going on. Pain is not the only indicator of. It certainly is an indicator of an injury, but just because it's gone away, that doesn't mean the issue that caused that injury has gone away. So there's that. And if people are not necessarily, when they find the health provider, aren't necessarily, they still want to do things. They want to hear what they want to hear.
Well, that's another great point. Is that also, that's a great point, because if you do, let's see, you go to see a doctor, you take your kid to see a doctor, and they go, okay, look, he's good. It's nothing big. Just rest him for a couple of days. That doctor's not going to tell you, nor does that doctor more than likely have the knowledge to tell you what to do to prevent it next time. And that's another thing. I think having the initials next to your name gives you lots of clout, right? And I have had doctors that would have given players advice on throwing, and it's like, no, that's not what you should do. So again, but that's information, and it's not the correct information. Here's what I would say. And I'll just say what we would do. If we have a player come into our facility, we're gonna watch them first anyway. Now that's whether it's a swing or throw, but if it's a throw, we're specifically looking for safety first. Like, is this player at risk for injury throwing the way that he's throwing? So we're going to look at the arm path. How long is it? Is he shrugging his shoulders? All the things that we talk about, and also, what's his sequence like? Is he actually throwing from the ground up? Is he turning? Is he throwing from his core and the big muscles doing the work? Is the arm only moving forward and down, etc.? So seeing that, because if the answer's no to any of those, then that player is at risk for injury at a higher risk than a player who has mechanically sound throwing mechanics, right? And so that's the first one. We can prevent it. That's the number one thing, prevent it. And I think that what's tied into that and why we see injuries going up again is because that trickled down from the big leagues, that trickled down from Division I colleges of, velo, throwing everything hard, throwing weighted balls, but not necessarily how. Just throw it as hard as you can, run and throw. All right. Should I use my legs? Just throw it and
wing it.
Chuck it. There's no guidance. And then we have the last thing I'll say that I think is a big problem with all of this is and I've said it before, a false sense of safety or a false sense of security with pitch count or pitch safe. Yes, pitch count. Look, you got to be keeping pitch count today. If you have to. All right, you have to have an idea of what their workload is. However, it's not the be all and end all. Just look at the injuries. Just look at, pitchers don't pitch more than 5 innings in the big leagues anymore, 6 innings. That's a 7-inning game is a long game for a major league pitcher these days. Okay.
Look at the World Series. I mean, guys
even the World Series,
getting out of a third inning for crying out loud.
That's right. And yet the injuries keep going up. So the pitch count is not the be all end all. Again, if I have a player that has very sound mechanics and their arm does little, and ideally what you want to do, by the way, is you want your body, your legs and your trunk to be the conductor of the energy of the throw, and your arm should just be a conduit of that energy. All right. It's passing through the arm. If your arm's conducting any energy, you're at risk for injury. So I have 2 pitchers. All right. Let's pretend I have 2 pitchers. One, solid pitching mechanics. They use their legs, the trunk, the arm comes last. No energy used by the arm. That player throwing 75 pitches versus a player who has poor mechanics and is almost all arm, I don't want the all arm kid throwing even 20 pitches because he's at a higher risk for injury, in my opinion, than the kid that has sound mechanics is throwing 75. Is that, would you say that's correct, Kevin?
Yeah, 100%. And this goes back to, we've touched on this numerous times. You've got, what do you have, that Rapsodo machine, right? Stats all over that, all kinds of stuff, right? We still don't have a medical measure, a true, like the first, day one of physical therapy. Quick story: I got into physical therapy. I blew my ACL out in 1986 when I was 16 years old. Still had growth plates. I didn't get it repaired until 1997 because they didn't operate on growth plates at that point. Did I have full range of motion in my knee? Oh yeah, absolutely. Did I? If you muscle tested, could I kick you across the room? Yeah. Couldn't go down a stair as well with my right knee as I could my left. You know what I mean? So there's no functional measure, and there hasn't been. And it just seems like all this, straight muscle testing, everything we do for medical doesn't really parlay very well onto the field for whatever sport. We don't put the body in. If we do test it, you could have a test, Ryan could have a test, I've got tests, but how do they compare? How do they compare on a continuum? Like that everyone's doing kind of, okay, that, all right, when we did this test, we did, like the 60-yard dash. There's no 60-yard dash test for medical. Like, meaning, all right, this is a standard test. He's failed this. He or she's failed this. They shouldn't be doing A, B, C, and D. There's too much, too much variance as to someone's health. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the big reasons there is so much injury, because it's such a wide space. Well, you could clear somebody. Ryan could be like, "Nah, I don't like that. I would never have cleared that person." I could be like, "I would never let that person sit on the field." 3 separate opinions, 3 medical minds. But there's no formula, no metric of health.
Well, in addition to that, to piggyback that, I mean, Ryan can attest to this. How many kids are actually mechanically sound? Even when we work, it's not like they're not like, oh, we saw Mike. Mike worked with him for a week. No, it's going to take a long time, a long time. And even then, look, people slip into mechanical funks even in the big leagues. I mean, it happens, right? And so,
absolutely.
So, and you can't, what are you going to do? Say, hey, there's no games this season because, Johnny, right. Steve, and Alan, they're not there yet. You can't, you got to, and by the way, they want to play. And at the end of the day, it's about playing games, right? And playing baseball games. So there's all of those things. And so I think, and then you have the coaches who, and this is no knock on the coaches. Some coaches, this isn't their gig. Their gig isn't about mechanics. It's not about movement. Their thing is like, maybe they're good X's and O's guys. They know they're a good talent evaluator. They know who to put where in the lineup. They know who to pitch when. They know when to bunt. They're good coaches, but they're maybe not, movement experts, or they're not mechanical experts, not mechanical guys. And so, and that's why I think it's real important to, first and foremost, is have your player evaluated by somebody who is proficient in understanding how the body's supposed to move, understand where the weaknesses come, or where the breaks in the chain, in the kinetic chain come in. And that's really important, because that's not only going to help keep that player healthy, it's going to get them to understand the weaknesses. It's going to have them be able to watch for things that, hey, until I'm really mechanically sound, until I fix this thing, I got to keep an eye out for A and B, or I got to, maybe my pitch count's lower than other guys, for instance, right? Any of those things. But in addition to that, it's also going to improve their performance. It's going to help them to be a more successful player. So there's no reason to not do it. For whatever reason, no reason whatsoever. And then if something does happen, like there are resources, obviously Kevin is a great one. So, I can't stress that enough. It's make sure you understand where your player is. Baseball, softball, and I can tell you, softball super prevalent with throwing mechanics.
Absolutely.
Bad throwing mechanics all over the place. And so, some girls I watch and I go, like, my elbow hurts watching them throw, you
bring up a great point. I think that, like you said, wait when someone's in. Don't wait until someone's
injured.
Don't wait. Yeah, like, get someone, like, prehab or whatever the buzzword is. They do these sport physical. Get your kid tested to make sure that they're moving correctly just from the basics of movement. Because if they can't do the basics of movement correctly, how are they going to do it at stop start at high velocity, high rates of speed? You're asking for trouble. You know what I mean? That would be the one thing, the one advice I would give to all parents. Get your kid tested. There's therapists, there's movement specialists, chiropractors. They're all over the place. They're probably looking for your business. Just look, spend an hour, take the investment, because the other side of that is really ugly. It's really ugly with arm fractures and Tommy John. I mean, I just had in my 12-year-old girl softball. The girl doesn't know how to slide. She goes into second base, standing up, trying to stop. Boom. Fibular fracture. Yes, what I mean, and I could see, you could just see the awkwardness, and it just, it's just stuff that's preventable. I hate the things that we can prevent. There's so much things that we can't prevent. The low hanging fruit that we can't prevent, let's try to prevent it. Let's just do something. That's all.
Absolutely. Be aware. All right. I think there's obviously a lot more to talk about there, but I think that's some good advice. And I'll just wrap up with saying, just like when you go to a doctor, whatever you're dealing with, they're going to say, don't Google this. Don't do it. Right.
Never. I mean, look, we all know by now, WebMD has been around for however long. If you could Google anything, you could Google, I have, the sniffles, and you're like, oh, all right.
I'm dying.
I'm good.
Well, yeah.
My head's about
you could be here or here, right?
Yeah.
Right.
How does my sinus pressure here, say that I have pancreatic cancer? But people will jump to conclusion.
Seriously, no. I mean, that's why there's so much bad information out there. Doctors know it. It's the same thing here. It's the same thing in the sport world, and specifically baseball and softball. Lots of opinions. But yeah, I mean, having an understanding of how you're supposed to move and where your player's not proficient in that movement and learning how to do it is a huge step. It's gonna really help a lot of things, because as we know, Kevin, injuries happen from compensatory motion more often than not. Right. All right. Good stuff. All right. Gags. What do we have?
We're on to your segments, fellas. We are on to the movement of the week. Yeah, movement of the week.
All right. Let me get that going here. So my movement of the week is off of a progression of last week's movement, which was scapular depression. So I'll just kind of play this. So basically, the arm and scapula, the easiest way I can describe the proper kinematics or sequence or how it's supposed to move is like a seesaw, believe it or not. Now, as close as we can get. Meaning, when we lift our arms up, as this woman's going to do here with this bat, the shoulder blade is actually supposed to go down.
Just so you know, you're not sharing your screen.
Oh, I'll do that right now. There we go.
There we are.
All right, so let's see. So I guess we'll rewind this here. So as the bat or arms move up, the shoulder blade should depress down. Kind of like a seesaw. All right, so this is an exercise where we're actually literally holding scapular depression as into the mat, into a foam roller, and try to keep those shoulder blades anchored as we lift up a bat or just a stick, anything, and not shrug, which is the key.
By the way, is that the golf club you shanked your bone to the woods with?
That's not nice. It was, I don't know, Mike, because no one actually told me where the ball went. No one was paying attention or whatever. They wouldn't, but this is actually a wiffle ball bat. But yes, I was holding a golf club. Yes.
It's in your hand right there. Yeah.
So that's kind of a vital exercise, and think of as you're holding a stick or whatever, and you can do that lying down, you can do that in standing, you can do it in sitting, is that in order to lift your arms up, your shoulder blades have to go down. Or like a seesaw, an oil rig, and that's something you can be doing in any position, and it's a very vital exercise to keep shoulders, arms, neck, posture healthy. And that's the movement of the week.
Good stuff. All right. I'm going to ask Ryan's assistance for this because we're going to stay with fielding for my tip of the week. One of them, let me just start by saying the vast majority, and this is in fielding, the vast majority of infield errors, most, if not all, happen underneath the glove. Okay. So there's two things we're going to talk about. Last week, we talked about staying like up and through the ground ball, getting your knuckles flat on the ground, getting your wrist forward, and coming through the ball this way, right? Today, we're going to talk about, like, number one, what that should look like in your setup, because it's more than just your hands. You really want to get as low as you can. The idea when we're fielding a ground ball is to get your eyes, and specifically your glove side eye, behind the ball, right? Out behind the ball. You don't want it in the center because your eyes start to cross as the balls come in, right? So you want it off to the left, right? And also, you want to field it out in front, and you don't want your fielding arm to have to be bent back in towards you. So you keep it right out in front, just like you would catch. Really, the easiest catch is right here, right out in front of your glove side. So fielding out in front of the glove side. Ryan, could you pull that picture up? Let's go with the Cardinal first. The St. Louis Cardinal.
All righty. Bear with me a moment. There we go.
I like that, Mike. I like that in front. I like that. I don't think I've ever heard that.
Yeah, it's out in front of the glove side. Now, this one here. Now, all right. Now, we can always get better, but this, and then we're going to show you two photos, because I'm going to show you that he should be further out in front with his hand. But what I liked about this is he's really low. Now, this is exactly what we look for in fielding position. We want a flat back. His back is completely flat, parallel to the ground. His hips are back. His knees very slightly forward. You can also see his weight is towards the front of his feet. If you look at his foot, right, this back heel is actually slightly off the ground. He's in an excellent athletic position. His eyes are low, and we want to get as low as we can because we want our eyes behind the ball. We don't want to just be viewing a ground ball from up above it. We want to be behind it. The easiest catch to make when someone throws you something is right in the area where your head is. Your eyes are behind it. It's easy. You can see this. When it starts to get down lower, it's not just that you have to reach. It's a harder view on the ball. Okay. So now if we could go to I think the other one is Kevin's guy, Derek Jeter. Now, Jeter has his hand. You can see there's less flexion in his left arm, in his glove arm. And you can also, this is a good example of being out in front of the glove side eye. He's not direct center. He's towards his left foot with the glove. And he's fielding that out in front. He is also low. His eyes are behind the ball. Derek Jeter and he's famously gotten a little bit wider.
I was going to say, do you like how wide he is here, Mike?
I like it if you can do it, because it's going to get your eyes lower.
Lower, okay.
Right? And so the more behind the ball you can view it, the better, okay? And Derek was one of those guys who would field it out in front, oftentimes come straight up and through, like we talked about last week. And by the way, one quick note about that, I did not explain this last week, and I should have. Everything that we teach, you're going to basically see on an MLB field, right? So everything that we would teach in hitting, you're going to see the vast majority of major league hitters do. The one thing that we teach, you might not see fielders do in the big leagues. A lot of big league fielders will pull the ball in, okay, that we talked about. Now, I can tell you right now, it's to no benefit of theirs, but that's probably the way they were taught and the way they were brought up. Now, how do they get away with it? Well, here's the difference. If I'm teaching a 13, 14-year-old kid, everything that we do in our fielding, we want to reduce the amount of time of getting the ball to the bag, right? In fact, we do a little game where I'm going to have my stopwatch, and as soon as you touch the ball, you should possess it for no longer than 1 second. It should be on its way to the base in 1 second. Okay? Why? All right. Well, let me just explain why the major leaguers first can pull the ball in and take their time, take 2 steps, pump the ball into their glove, and then throw. Number one, major league infielders have really strong arms. Most of them throw 80 plus 85 miles an hour or up, right? You got third basemen that can throw the ball well over 90 miles an hour. Also, they're hitting a ball off of a major league bat from a major league pitch. So that ball's hit hard, and they're playing on perfect surfaces with quarter-inch perfectly cut Bermuda blue hybrid grass. So by the time they get the ball, the batter's forced 5 steps out of the box. You take that to the youth level, that kid could be halfway up the base. And every single second could equal between 10 and 20 feet up that baseline. All right. So really important to talk about that. So we're going to go up and through the ball. Now, Ryan, one last thing. If we can go to the backhand. I think you have one photo of a backhand. Now, this photo isn't exactly ideal, but we were looking for good backhand photos, really couldn't find any. So I'm actually gonna make a video for the future. So, but what this particular person here is practicing is, again, going through the ball. This is a backhand, so same thing, but when your thumb's going to be down, they're going to sweep through from the elbow out. All right, and so you see that this guy here in the photo, and for people just listening, there's a guy on his knees working on a backhand, and the ball's, what's that, about a foot away from him, and he's going to work on getting his arm out in front. What's good about it is see how he's kind of leaning forward, and he got his eyes, again, behind the ball. He's not just fielding it from on top. All right, so really important. And this is the same for first baseman. Another great thing to remember, first baseman, catch it with your face, right? So if you have a ball thrown to your right, instead of reaching across this way, we're going to come over here like Ryan is showing as well, right? We're going to get your face behind the ball, every catch in your face. It's really just about keeping your eyes behind the ball, and you're going to be a lot more successful if you do that. All right, that was a long one for me, but I thought that was important.
I like that. Okay? I don't know if I want to catch it with my face, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. There's actually a drill that one of the big league infield coaches does where they puts on a catcher's mask. Have you seen it?
Really? No.
And he actually throws tennis balls, and they literally like go and catch it, like take it off the face. Oh. I don't go that far, but it's the point is taken nonetheless.
That was good.
All right. So
do we have a question of the week this week?
I actually do have a question of the week. It's from
I must have slept through that portion of the phone.
Well, no, I definitely slept through that one too.
I got it. Well, I got a text question now as we speak. I got a live question of the week from
look at
that from a local listener who actually, I don't know if we can really answer it. It's asking about if with this whole
why black holes exist.
No, are there UFOs? No. Yeah. What was that? Spider? What the heck's this? The sticky stuff? Spider?
Oh, yeah. Spider attack.
So if it's known that, that the two people that are names have come up, Bauer and Garrett Cole, who've signed enormous contracts in the past, is that, if they are found, could they, cancel their contract? I think it's guaranteed in baseball regardless even. But then I didn't know because A-Rod, when he got pinched, wasn't paid for that year. So I don't know if it found that their spin rate has been cut in half, is there anything that, I don't think that Major League could do anything about that, right?
Well, spin rates have gone down in the last few days since this thing's come up. They've gone down significantly, right?
Yeah. And so as the Yankees have managed to hit a few. So I know something's going on.
Yeah. I think it's mostly a non-issue. I mean, pitchers have been doctoring baseballs going back to
1870.
Yeah, really. I mean, at least the early 1900s.
There's nail files in their gloves, just
Vaseline, suntan lotion, and baby powder. Combining those two. Things where even infielders, now it's different in Major League Baseball now because you're changing balls all the time. But I know years ago, they'd have pine tar in the third baseman's glove. So when they threw it around the horn, third baseman rubs it up, right? And it gets back to the pitch. So it's not on the pitcher, and they're still getting and they're always trying to find clever ways to to gain an advantage, And so is anything going to happen to them? I don't know. I don't know if they can even prove that they had it, right?
Right.
Past it. So
that was our little question. I mean, I guess does baseball really need another performance black eye? Does it need another? I don't know. Probably not.
Why they have to make some of this stuff just legal.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, and I think Mike and our pitching coordinator here at the farm, Dave Waslack, we've talked about this a little bit, obviously off air, but putting a little pine tar on the ball, on weather days or something like that to get a better grip. If I'm a hitter, I want that. I'd rather have a guy,
or 99.
Want to be able to control the ball and put it where he wants to strike zone rather than having a 97, 98 mile an hour go,
your ear
every which way. Yeah, I don't want that. I'd rather them have the control, right? I mean, I'm not a pitcher. When I played, I was a first baseman and a hitter. So I mean, I would much rather be able to walk into the box confidently knowing that, hey, this guy's going to live around the strike zone. He doesn't have the tendency to lose one up and in on right-handed hitters, right? So for me, it's a non-issue.
Yeah, I think if that's what it's for, then that's great. But I think what guys are doing is they're getting higher spins on their fastballs. So, you're getting that visual rising fastball, sliders and look at Bauer. I mean, I don't want to pick the guy, but look at the break. Look at the movement he gets out of his pitches. It's insane. right?
It's almost wiffle ball like.
I can't get my guy to a 99 on MLB 2021, the show, and get break like that. I mean, it's a video game. So, it's definitely an advantage, but, there's probably somewhere in there it lies where perhaps on certain days, especially when it's hot and humid or whatever, to get a little tack, whatever. It's just like when the days in the late in the season when they allow you to go to your hand to mouth on the mound. So anyway, that's a long conversation.
Well, that was our question of the week. So,
and now we have.
Uh-oh.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Why? We've got a few videos here. So, we're going to go back to the formula of showing a couple of different videos.
Formula.
Yeah, we have a formula here, boys. This is science,
Science.
Yeah, science. So the formula for this will be, I'll show you a couple different videos. These are going to be good, bad, and different, right? There's going to be good parts to these, going to be bad parts to these. We want to talk about, why you would do that, or hey, why would you do that? Okay.
I like that.
So we have a few here. So bear with me 1 second as I get these queued up here.
Did you study for this? Do you have these questions ahead of time?
No, but I got plenty of time since Ryan didn't already have them queued up. I'm studying.
There we go.
All right. Let me just.
That's George Brett.
Is that Brett?
What was Brett? All right. Okay. The hands inside. Is that what that said? The cue? So.
Yep. It's the inside tee for hand pat the ball.
Yep. And so what is working on here is to basically, I'm guessing now, first of all, his top hand's already in a bad position for it. But again, this is just me, just my immediate reaction. His posture is not great. His knees, again. So let me stop, all right? Because this is just instinctively what I see right away. But you can see that awful posture. It looks like he's going to fall over. His knees are so far forward. My God. Okay. But what they're attempting to work on here is to keep the hands ahead of the barrel, going to contact, keep the hands inside and close to the body, and then also keeping the barrel behind the hands. And then when he's going to that ball on the outer half, also why he's hitting that ball in the outer third, actually, this is almost outside corner in the front of the plate. I don't know, but that's another conversation for another day. But that's what they're attempting to work on. All right. Now, why this is not a great drill? Couple things. Number one, you don't want so much barrel lag. You want your barrel to already be in the zone way before this red tee. Okay. You want the idea, everybody, is to get your barrel in front of the catcher's mitt as soon as possible. Get in the zone as soon as possible. Right. So as soon as I turn, in fact, we'll teach a lot of our hitters to have a little bit of a barrel drop. So when they turn, the barrel's right in the zone. You want to be, so if you're in a proper swing, you're going to crush this red tee. You're going to crush it. Also, the outside pitch, you shouldn't hit so far in front. That should be hit inside of your front foot, almost to your front hip. So this is a right-handed hitter, like your left hip. And then, Kev, you take it away with the posture because...
Yeah, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The knees over the toes is I mean, he can even hinge his hips back. I mean, so... Lost the lordosis of his back. His scapulars are elevated by shrugging, knees over toes. So this isn't even a good.
Posterior chain's gone.
Gone. So this is teaching this is making when practice makes permanent. This is making bad. Yeah. So you can. Yeah. I don't like it.
And so this is a good example of Kevin talks about living in the penthouse and not taking care of the parking garage or the basement. Again, like not to, look, this instructor, this coach is obviously working on something specific. I don't agree with this philosophy or the path of the barrel, but, maybe he wasn't focusing on the posture. But I think that until you have that basement done, you got to stay on that. This is something you work on, when they've got that baseline down. So anyway, all right, on to the next one.
All right, so the next one.
Already did that. Already did that.
Already. All right. What was it? Okay.
Is that Dylan Sperdone? Oh. All right. Okay. This is the what do you
I like the shorts.
All right. Side toss. And he's got a fist bump from coach there. All right. So Now, I think actually what it said on here even, right, was that we're working on balance, like having a balanced swing. Now, again, I don't have much bad to say about this one, if I'm being honest. Okay. I don't think this is an awful drill. The only thing I would say is that I wouldn't, if you have a player, don't spend so much time about them. They're balancing where they would be, if they're falling into the plate a little bit post swing, that's not a bad thing. Now, if this kid maybe had a propensity to dive in, during his swing,
forward,
right? Then maybe he's coming up on his toes. Then this isn't a bad drill. This is just a reminder to help him keep back. He doesn't want to fall into this. Looks like an orange colored PVC pipe there between two tees. Nothing
like a
wrong.
Hurdle.
Yeah. Got a decent little swing, right? He's got his hands back, his left elbow's down, his posture's not bad. Like, not a bad little swing.
The big thing that Mike and I hate the most here is the side toss. Like you're never seeing a pitch coming from that direction. There's no point in practicing that.
Although, if he is a diver, it's not the worst drill because you can't dive into a pitch coming from the side. This is a drill. I don't like side toss either. The only time I'll ever use it is when, we got a kid coming out early with his hands all the time. Kind of helps that. But again, in our experience, even when they do that in the drill, you go back to front toss or overhand and they're right back to what they were doing. So,
yep. All right. And one last one. This is actually one that Mike had shared.
Yeah, I guess that was good. Okay, go on.
Oh, this one's all Kevin.
Yeah, so
there's just a lot going on here.
There is a lot going on here. I think the purpose behind this is to really just kind of get the body. If the body's doing something over and over again, gets used to it. Like I used to years ago date this woman who would run, could jog for miles, but couldn't carry
run around Sue.
Yeah, she couldn't carry her golf bag 2 holes. Your body gets used to doing things. This is the whole like cross training thing of doing something different, which stimulates nervous system and all that stuff. I just some of this high velocity stuff of
everything's full speed here.
Full speed. We're shrugging. We're doing I definitely don't the jump throws. You're asking for problems. I think the theory behind doing something different for a pitcher, yes. I don't know if these are the ones that I would choose.
Let me read to you the description.
Okay.
This is an abbreviated answer to one of their most commonly asked questions that they receive on social media, and this is from a place.
How do I throw the ball when I'm in the air?
Yeah. This is a place called Full Reps Training Center out in central Pennsylvania. So the question is, why do you guys run around and throw footballs and other strange objects all the time instead of baseballs? And their answer is, we throw plenty of baseballs. We just find that the best way to gain kinesthetic awareness, build synergy, and better combat certain sequencing inefficiencies throughout deliveries is by using various implements that provide feedback of the quality of the movement, specifically rotation and trunk deceleration. Yeah, there's a lot going on here, right?
But the words, dude,
right.
Speak. Come on.
So
you're talking to laymen.
The afferent information and sensory input these implements provide help promote self-organization and build a synergistic relationship between upper and lower extremities.
They had me. They had me until they started. Like, what are you doing?
This is again getting too much verbiage. If we stop any of these throws where he's jumping in the air, you better pray that UCL is holding in place.
But before that, they would rather impress whoever with those words than actually inform their clients. That's
right.
And I'm not claiming that's what they do all the time, but in that particular question, answer the question. Come on,
right.
Like it started out saying because I think there is sometimes more awareness, but kinesthetic awareness. So where your body is and how it's moving when you throw, for instance, a football, because a football gives you immediate feedback. If you don't do it properly, it's going to spin like a duck, right? It's not going to have a spiral.
Agreed.
And I thought that's where they were going with it. I'm like, okay, that makes some sense. But then good Lord.
Well, not to mention the fact that I wasn't even halfway done reading that description. And
I know.
They called that the abbreviated answer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the theory behind cross training or getting, like you said, throwing a football doing a towel drill, doing something that's still mechanically sound, but different. Those are I don't like those jumping and throwing.
We use footballs. We use towels. We'll have baseball players throw softballs.
To practice the Derek Jeter jump toss as a pitcher, I think you're asking for trouble. You're asking for it.
Well, there was a lot of throws in there that were all arm, and I think that
you can see him going way back here,
the head jerking around, which means he's torquing his upper body and his shoulders too early. So anyway, but again, it's that answer wasn't actually intended, in my opinion, to answer the question of the client. It was to befuddle them with all these big words to make the guy go, "Oh, you clearly know what you're doing and talking about." So that even asked.
That is a walk-off grand slam. No need to say anything else. That was absolutely right on the nose.
And there's too much of that. All right, folks.
All right, man. Good
Thanks
show,
for watching our show.
Thank you.
See you again next Thursday. Toodles.